My office was told these personnel were instructed to flag any records in which President Trump was mentioned.
Jeffrey Epstein died in prison before revealing the extent of his crimes or his connections to the world. The government had investigated Epstein for years and has been sitting on those files for years more. Despite making promises to release them, the Trump administration has done anything but. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the 10 less than ideal things the U.S. government has done instead of releasing those documents.
I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime.
Number 10. FCC versus late night. Every president since JFK has feuded with the press, but none have turned it into as much of an open war. In 2025, the Trump administration's relationship with the media went from combative to punitive. His Rescissions Act slashed federal funding for public broadcasters like NPR and PBS. He called them state-funded liberal propaganda, thanks to their history of reporting unflattering, albeit accurate stories about the administration. Then came the late-night crackdown. After Jimmy Kimmel mocked the president, FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr pressured Disney to suspend him. He called Kimmel's exercising of his First Amendment rights, quote, abuse of public airwaves. Critics say this is censorship disguised as regulation. The federal government targeting comedians over political satire.
Take a look at this guy, his ratings. That's what got Jimmy Kimmel out. He was terrible.
Number 9. Eradicating anti-Christian bias. For years, the American right has weaponized claims of anti-Christian bias. They've worked through the Supreme Court to blur the line between church and state. Every perceived slight has turned religious grievance into political strategy. It's a rallying cry for the evangelical right and a dog whistle to white nationalists who see America as a Christian nation.
Christian nationalism is the belief that America is a Christian nation. It was made to be a Christian nation.
In early 2025, that rhetoric became official policy. The Trump administration launched an initiative to, quote, eradicate anti-Christian bias. They created a White House faith office and a religious liberty commission to defend Christian expression in public life.
You have a very big anti-Christian bias that you don't think about and you don't hear about it.
Attorney General Pam Bondi went further, floating prosecutions for hate speech against Christians. It's a disturbing step toward privileging one faith under the guise of protecting all.
We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything, and that's across the aisle.
Number 8. The Department of War. For nearly 80 years, the U.S. was protected by the Department of Defense. The name, adopted by President Truman after World War II, reflected unity and restraint. In 2025, President Trump changed it back.
And then we decided to go woke and we changed the name to Department of Defense. So we're going Department of War.
Backed by Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, the administration sold the switch as a return to, quote, American strength. Inside the Pentagon, Hegseth pushed a new warrior ethos, railing against, quote, feminized leadership and, quote, woke weakness. Critics said the rebrand wasn't about readiness. It's about macho optics, punctuated by a last-minute, chest-thumping speech for every flag officer in the military.
We won the First World War. We won the Second World War. We won everything before that and in between. And then we decided to change the name.
The move stunned allies and officers alike, who warned it glorified aggression over service. Supporters called it patriotic correction, a reminder that America should stop apologizing for its power.
I thought it would be met with fury on the left, but they're sort of giving up, I must be honest with you.
Number 7. Shutting down the government and lying about why. The spin called it budget discipline and a fight against free health care for illegal immigrants. The reality was something else. Republicans in Washington let the government shut down and then walked away.
But the far left's determination to oppose anything President Trump has ever said or done is not a good reason for subjecting the American people to the pain of a government shutdown.
The Senate adjourned as a third week loomed and military paychecks hung in the balance. The administration scrambled to get soldiers paid while laying off thousands of federal workers. The damage was serious. A private payroll gauge said the U.S. lost 32,000 jobs in September.
The U.S. economy lost 32,000 private sector jobs in September. That's according to the payroll company ADB.
Then news broke that a newly elected Democratic congresswoman couldn't be sworn in. Speaker Johnson blamed the shutdown, though he had no problem swearing in Republicans. Perhaps coincidentally, Congresswoman Grijalva would be the deciding vote in the House to release the Epstein files.
Has nothing to do with that at all. We will swear her in when everybody gets back.
Number 6. ICE raids everywhere. The raids came fast and furious across dozens of American cities. In summer 2025, ICE launched one of the largest coordinated immigration crackdowns in U.S. history. Agents stormed factories, courthouses, and homes nationwide.
What we have seen now on a much larger scale is federal agents indiscriminately stopping and arresting individuals without warrants.
Under the Rescissions Act of 2025, funding for immigrant legal aid and sanctuary programs was slashed. Tens of thousands of immigrants and refugees were left with no real legal recourse. Local officials called the raids militarized, especially after Trump authorized National Guard deployments to assist immigration arrests. Videos from across the country showed masked agents detaining people without identifying themselves. Supporters said it restored order to quote-unquote lawless cities. Critics called it fascistic state terror. Mass arrests meant to frighten immigrant communities into silence.
This is about authoritarianism. It's about stoking fear. It's about breaking the Constitution.
Number 5. The Big Beautiful Bill is anything but. When President Trump unveiled his so-called Big Beautiful Bill, he promised it would, quote, simplify everything and put America first. But the bill was overstuffed with hidden, highly controversial provisions. Behind the patriotic branding, it slashed taxes for corporations and the wealthy. It weakened climate and labor protections. It expanded oil drilling on public lands. It also limited oversight of private prisons and rolled back consumer safeguards. All of these wildly unpopular policies were buried deep within hundreds of pages of legislative fine print.
And with that, we are watching now. The Big Beautiful Bill has passed on the vote, breaking the tie of the Vice President of the United States.
Critics called it a wish list for lobbyists, while supporters touted it as bold deregulation. Either way, the administration wasn't exactly forthcoming about what was really inside this beautiful bill.
The most recent estimate from the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office finds the bill will add about $3.3 trillion to the federal deficit over 10 years.
Number 4. Mass layoffs of civil servants. President Trump enlisted Elon Musk to help lead the newly formed Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. Their mandate? To take a chainsaw to the federal workforce. Within months, the administration initiated sweeping layoffs across nearly every agency.
He spoke about his crusade to cut government spending and downsize the federal workforce.
The effort was framed as an attempt to trim the fat. According to multiple news agencies and fired workers, the layoffs caused massive bureaucratic paralysis. Infrastructure projects stalled, public health initiatives collapsed, and lawsuits piled up. Even conservative allies admitted the cuts went too far, as many positions were later reopened and offered to political loyalists. Some fired workers were even asked to later return to their jobs. The efficiency experiment ultimately proved far more chaotic than cost-saving.
The General Services Administration is asking hundreds of employees whether or not they want to come back and work for the federal government.
Number 3. Promised tariffs are raising prices. Despite warnings from Democrats and free market Republicans alike, America elected a man with tariffs as the centerpiece of his economic vision. Trump scoffed at critics who claimed American consumers would pay the price.
They have come up with some kind of sum that they say represents the totality of the tariffs that American goods are faced when they are being exported into China or Cambodia or the EU or the UK, for instance.
Cut to summer 2025. New tariffs on China, Mexico, and the EU sparked a fresh wave of inflation. Groceries, coffee, and everyday goods all surged in price. Businesses passed costs straight to shoppers, and economists warn the policy could erase wage gains from the past 2 years.
This is, I would say, incredibly concerning because what we're seeing is that this pricing pressure is building farther back in the supply chains, yet to reach the consumer at the fullest extent.
The White House calls it economic nationalism, but it looks more like a self-inflicted wound. Farmers face higher equipment costs, retailers face supply shocks, and families face bigger bills at the checkout line. Proof that tariffs hit hardest at home.
I think the sharp reaction to this news shows how price for perfection markets have become.
Number 2, federalizing the National Guard and sending them into U.S. cities. The line between policing and the military has grown dangerously thin. First, President Trump asserted direct control over Washington, D.C. He wrested the city from the hands of local officials, activating the D.C. National Guard.
This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back.
Despite all the crime stats pointing at a reduction, the administration cited crime and disorder as their justification. Then came plans to push troops into blue cities, from Los Angeles to Chicago to Portland, over local objections.
You look at the top 25 cities for crime, just about every one of those cities is run by Democrats.
Courts, at least initially, balked at parts of the plan. Local leaders called the need for federal troops zero. Legal scholars warn the approach blurs the very line the Posse Comitatus Act was meant to hold. Troops in the streets can erode democratic guardrails, inviting more and more authoritarian abuse.
There is no reason a president should send military troops into a sovereign state without their knowledge, consent, or cooperation.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into Settings and switch on your notifications. Number 1. FBI purge and alleged Epstein cover-ups. Under new Director Kash Patel, the FBI has been hollowed out. Veteran counterterrorism and public corruption agents were fired or reassigned, replaced with loyalists and political appointees. Critics say the purge crippled the Bureau's ability to investigate extremism and white-collar crime. Cases tied to Trump allies have, unsurprisingly, disappeared. Then came fresh allegations that Patel's team stalled or buried evidence linking prominent figures to Jeffrey Epstein.
And so the information we are releasing now is historic, and it is also to the maximum capacity that the law allows.
At the same time, amidst a shutdown, a swearing-in delay for newly elected Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva ignited suspicions.
A lot of talk about me being the 218th signer for the discharge petition for the Epstein files, which I will do as soon as I am sworn in.
Political pressure could be blocking her confirmation to prevent a House vote to release Epstein-related files. To be clear, none of this is proven, but between partisan firings and withheld documents, the pattern feels like power protecting itself.
He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life.
Why do you think there is such a fight to prevent the release of the Epstein files? Let us know in the comments below.